indicate that you're here.
Jeff Dunn is here.
Very good.
Roger,
Thank
no,
you.
we do not.
How do we fix that?
If you go down into the bottom left corner, there's a camera
Start video?
icon. Yeah,
Oh, okay, got it.
There you go. Now you're up, kid.
Okay,
Now you're up. Okay, so all selectmen are here. We do have a couple of guests that we'll welcome in for public comment a bit later. Thank you for attending. Let's start off. I did call roll. All selectmen are present. Jeff, seeing as we've gone through the rotation, your turn to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sure, I don't have a flag here, but I will stand and say it.
That's quite all right. You can fake it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Minutes, gentlemen, do I have a motion?
this Roger has a motion. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented. Is that what you're indicating? Jeff, you're
Make a
muted.
motion.
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Okay. And you'll second, Jeff? Roger?
yes, I'm second.
Okay, very good. With all in favor, motion made and seconded. With all in favor, indicate by saying aye. Edmond, aye.
Roger, aye.
Jeff, aye.
Thank you very much. That takes care of that. Moving right along, is Marty Egan here yet?
I am here.
Very good. Marty, good to hear from you, Marty. Marty, you really are the topic of discussion tonight. Under new business, we have 3 items: Nystrom Park and Pond area, potential bike trail, and lastly, Little League. Let's start off with Nystrom Park and Pond. You had submitted some questions to us a bit back, actually prior to our last meeting. Are we opening the beach? Are we opening the picnic area? Are we opening the pavilion for scheduled events? If the beach is open, will we have lifeguards? If the beach is opening, will we be staffing the beach with personnel to collect money? Will we required to staff wear masks? A few different things. Do we have PPEs? Let's start off with the very first, and that is, are we opening the beach area at all? Do you want to address that a little bit, Marty, before we chime in at all?
I will, Ed. I'd be happy to discuss some of the topics involved in that. I'm certainly in favor of opening the beach so that people have some opportunities in Thomaston that, you know, they don't have a lot of opportunities at this point in terms of what we have to do socially. So I'm not against the idea of it. I think that some of the issues that come with it are the staffing that we have there, as I mentioned in the email I sent to you guys, is that the kids that work there tend to be young. If we're going to ask them to enforce social distancing, if we're going to ask them to enforce masks, things like that, I think we're asking an awful lot of a young staff. So with that said, I don't want to turn them into some kind of police patrol up there, and the police department in themselves don't want to do it. So I'm okay with opening it, but I'm not sure how to go about it necessarily. Normally we would let people into the park and we weren't that concerned about how many people came in. In this instance, if the town wants to be conservative about how many people come into the beach area, the picnic area, how will we go about that? Is it in terms of a number of people? Is it in terms of a number of cars? Is it if the bottom parking lot is full, we close the beach at that point? So those are some of the issues that I would have in doing it the right way. Do we have enough PPE for them? It's very difficult to come across masks, gloves, sanitizing agents at this point. So in other words, We have a couple of, they happen to be girls this year that would work the gate area and actually collect money from people. So do we have enough gloves for them to be able to handle money with people and dispose of those gloves and do that again? Do we have enough masks where they can, when people are within literally a foot of them collecting money, do we have masks for them, that type of thing? I think the lifeguard's a little bit easier. You know, they're sitting in the chair, they're on the beach. Generally, they're not as close to the public as the girls would be collecting the money. You know, I think if they had to go in the water and save somebody, I think masks is the least of our issues. I don't think that would be something we'd be concerned about. So those are some of the issues that I would have doing it. I'm not for necessarily closing it, but if we're going to open it, can we do what would make the Board of Selectmen happy in terms of being able to implement it? Those would be my questions to you as a board.
And so one more question before I open it to the selectmen for a little bit of their Q&A on it. Has the Recreation Commission or the chairman minimally taken any kind of position on any of these things we're going to discuss tonight?
They have not, in terms of an official thing, they have not met the last 2 months over not being able to meet at the town hall. But I have talked to many of them. Brian Mozak brought it up to me as far as, are we going to follow the DEP regulations? Brian LaFontaine works at the state park in Watertown.
Mm-hmm.
He too is very aware of what's going to go on at Black Rock State Park. He's inquiring about the same type of things. Are we going to follow the same protocol, or do we believe we're immune to it somehow because we're a municipality of ourselves? And obviously we're not. So yes, they have inquired, but we haven't had a meeting that said, they certainly didn't say we want to close the beach down.
They did or they did not?
They did not. I mean, we have had no
So
discussion.
there's been really no statement
No.
or position from anybody
Absolutely.
on the commission. Okay,
Nope.
more questions.
More questions. Some have asked me, how did the Board of Selectmen feel about it? I think because the state is under, you know, a state of emergency and the town itself has declared one, I think they, like I feel, the Board of Selectmen has undertaken more of a role here than it might normally in terms of park decisions. I don't think you guys normally would care about pavilion rentals or any other thing. That would be our purview. But in these circumstances, I think they want to defer to you and make sure it's what the Board of Selectmen want, and it's what the town wants.
Okay.
And I think that's fair at this point.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to know, and as far as the rec commission, you're right, traditionally would make any and all decisions regarding park facilities such as these. So I just wanted to find out from you, Marty, and for the record, whether there was anything forthcoming from them. Let me just say this before I open it up. The state of Connecticut thus far, well, let's put it, let me back up just a little bit. The state does defer to municipalities to a certain extent. Right out of the beginning, they never indicated to us or told us we must do anything in particular, though they did set protocol. For instance, we continued to have employees come into our office. We followed a lot of safety protocols in the process of so doing, ensuring that people remained healthy, so on and so forth. And if they were sick, they didn't come to work for 14 days, all those kinds of things. But just the same, that my point being, the state deferred to us, so understanding municipalities are their own governmental services and they need to make or be able to make decisions accordingly. With that, the state of Connecticut is not, I emphasize, is not permitting swimming at any of its, what do I want to call them, interior parks, such as Black Rock. They're only allowing swimming in some of their saltwater facilities and in limited numbers there as well. So in terms of following protocol, yeah, we would want to follow same types of safety protocol regardless of what we do. So I'm just going to say that at this point in time, and I'd like to open this up now to Roger and Jeff for Q&A and find out where they lie on all of this. So whoever. Jeffrey?
How long the state will be banning swimming? Is it all summer, or is it for the next 30 days? Or somewhere in between.
To my knowledge, Jeff, they have made no decision on that whatsoever. They're simply stating at this juncture that they're only allowing swimming in limited capacity and in salt at the beaches, if you would, the ocean beaches, saltwater environment.
I would
They
agree.
said nothing more.
Until further notice for interior places.
There you go. Until further notice is a good way to put it.
Marty, have you been monitoring any of this as it relates to parks? When they might be relaxing that?
I haven't seen anything, and the places that are opening, they've been consistently closing those parks down based on parking restrictions. A little bit easier maybe than us, but a lot of the state parks, beaches, places like that that are open generally limit based on parking capacity, and that's it. And I think that maybe if we're going to go this route is our best effort, because the idea of you don't know how many people are going to be in a car, and ironically, I mean, you could see 8 people get out of a car at Nystrom's. Very hard to limit the number of people. The cars might be the better way to go if that's what we're going to do.
Roger?
Marty says, Roger, I got a question for you. Would we require the cars have to be parked social distance apart as well?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again? There was a bunch of speaking went on at the beginning.
Would we require the cars to be parked, say, 6 feet apart?
I don't really think so. I don't think that's an issue. That's in terms of people being apart from each other. I don't think cars being 6 feet apart is a thing. What I would say is the thing that worries me about the lower part Nystrom's, I think that if we use the parking as an issue, frankly, I think there are more car spots down there than could accommodate the people. It's a big parking lot down there. It literally could park 60, 70 cars. If there were 4 people in a car down there, I think you're talking way in excess of what we could handle down there. We don't even have that many picnic tables. Glenn did some work down there with drainage. It's reduced the size of the picnic area. If you guys have been up there, they did some great work. It was needed, but some of the picnic area has been reduced and it's actually fenced off. There's even less area than there used to be. But ultimately, I don't know how many people can fit in the water up there. I don't know. That's not something we ever really had to address. I've been here 30 years. Nobody ever really had to consider how many cars, how many people. I agree with that. I talked to him a little bit this week. I think if Black Rock State Park was open, I think we'd have a little easier issue with this. The fact that they're not having swimming at all leads me to believe, just like Ed felt, all these people are going to end up at our park now. They don't have anywhere else locally to really go, and we could easily be overwhelmed up there. There's no question about it. And we don't have a park ranger with a gun like the state park has. The police department will come up if we call them, but we don't have the staff to really monitor what's going to go out there. I mean, if we don't find a way to control the size of the population that will go up there, I really don't see how 3 teenage lifeguards and 2 teenage gate people are going to control 100, 200, 250 people in our area. So there's definitely some concerns. I mean, I definitely have some.
So Marty, you did echo our private conversation, and not that I meant it to be private per se. It just happened to be between you and I would have iterated it here in the meeting as well. But you summed it up well for me. I have greater reservation based on the fact of what's going on with the state park at Black Rock, and prior to just historically, prior to them opening up the state park and making it free to all residents who've now paid for it essentially through registration.
Yep.
We used to get a great deal of overflow at Nystrom's. Once they changed that policy, we found that many people that were coming to Nystrom's we're now going to Black Rock State Park because there was no cost there, whereas there was still some sort of fee with us. And that did limit the amount of people that came. And I fear with that situation, as Marty iterated as well, that we would be overrun. So obviously I have reservations about doing anything in terms of the beach right now, particularly in light of those things. And, you know, we can hopefully revisit this at some future point, but right now I've got some concerns about that. Here's another piece about that as well, Marty, and I would like you to chime in on this as well. Currently, the picnic tables are down there also.
They are.
Do many people take advantage of the picnic tables? And if so, would it make sense to maybe move them up to the parking lot area where people could utilize them for a picnic area and still have the beach area closed off?
Yes, I don't think that would be difficult. I think the odd thing is many, at least 50% of picnic tables we have are like 14-foot aluminum tables. So it's kind of odd. Like if you want to really do the social distancing thing or groups of 5 or less, or these kind of issues that go around, it's hard to imagine for a family of 4 sitting at a 14-foot picnic table and no one else can sit at it. So it really limits the amount of people that can be there. So we have some 6-footers, but we also have a half a dozen 14-foot tables, which should accommodate a huge family. But do we know if they're in the same family, you know, or are they multiple families in the same thing that aren't supposed to be near each other? I really don't know how that would ever be really looked at, you know. And again, I'm not going to ask, you know, teenagers and ask people, hey, are you guys related? Do you live in the same house? You know, I have no idea. I wouldn't know either, Ed. I wouldn't be comfortable going up to people and saying, hey, you guys all know each other, or are you all sharing a table? You're not supposed to be doing that, you know? I wouldn't want to have to do that either. And I'm 52 years old. I hardly want to ask an 18-year-old girl to go do the same thing.
I hear you.
Yes,
I hear you.
but to answer your question, could the picnic tables be put up in the lower parking lot and have parking above it? It's split by an island. Absolutely. We could close the beach area off. I would say this, if that's the route you guys want to go, you are going to have to ask Glenn to actually put up a fence. Well, because without it, we'll never stop people from going there. They're already in the water up there now. They're already in the picnic area, and it's only been 68 degrees out for 3 weeks. We've had days up there where we couldn't even mow the beach area. There were so many people there already.
Yeah.
So
We would have to get Glenn to string
literally
some sort of
cordoned
fencing.
off with orange fence, poles, everything. It's going to have to be the real deal if we're going to do it.
Yeah. Not to say that people won't breach the fence, but you know, we can only do what we can do.
They could add, but once we do that and we post signs, beach area is closed, then to me, the police have a little bit of teeth. If they happen to drive through there and they see people in the water or on the other side of the fence, I mean, to me, they have a right to say, let's go.
True.
5 signs to say beach is closed and it's all cordoned off an orange fence. Now you're basically breaking the law at this point. If we leave it open, I think people are going to do what they're going to do. And they've already been in there at this point. There's no question about it.
Okay. So, gentlemen, do you have any further comments, questions on this? Would you like to state your positions on this? We should probably make it a matter of record and actually vote on it.
I have several. I have several
Please.
questions and comments. So honestly, I would like to hear more from the Rec Commission on this too. I realize that the Board of Selectmen has authority, but I feel like you know, in order to draft appropriate procedures and policies for this, for now and moving forward, there needs to be a group of people to think on this. But several questions that came up is, you know, what are we planning on doing with signage? If we are open, how are we handling things like garbage, cleaning of the picnic tables and things of that nature? I'm pretty concerned about money exchange as well, because I know that's a big concern with all retailers and everything. You know, is there any thought about doing some sort of electronic payments only? And if I don't even know if that's possible. If we're closing off the beach, are we just going to follow the state's recommendations, whatever the state does? Maybe we would follow suit. Are the dams reopening at any time? Because that's going to have a factor into whether people are coming to Nystrom's or not. You can go to the dam areas, that's additional picnic areas and outdoor places to go. And right now those gates are closed. I'm also thinking, if we were to open, we would need to have some sort of handouts that would be a type of disclaimer saying that you're entering, you're now holding the town liable for any exposure that they may have, and that you're responsible to police yourself. And if for some reason these rules are broken, you would be immediately removed, asked to leave the park. And I do think, it's a lot to ask of teenagers to do this. If we don't need lifeguards, would we want to repurpose the position of lifeguard to something more along the lines of someone who could actually be a park ranger, for the lack of a better word? So those are some of the thoughts I jotted down now.
Roger?
I would be in favor of, excuse me, of not having any swimming up there at all. At least not the beginning of the season. But for picnicking, sure, open it up. And if we need more picnic tables, up under that pavilion, up in the upper parking area, the picnic tables are really crammed in there. So for social distancing, we got several tables that can be taken out there and brought down more towards the beach area.
And I was going to say that too, instead of moving tables up closer to the parking area, you do have the pavilion, maybe spreading some of those tables out from outside the pavilion and making a little bit more open picnic areas up there. But the nice thing about Nystrom's is that shaded area down by the beach where you can have a picnic and you got the grills and all that kind of stuff. So that's, being out in the field isn't nearly as nice.
So here's, based on what you had said, Jeff, and I would say let us do this, okay? I agree that the Recreation Commission should weigh in as well to some extent, but we can make recommendations to them as to what we believe is in the best interest and safety of the community at large. And, they can be the final, if you would, on it, if that's what this board is comfortable with, or otherwise, I'm certainly comfortable. I could work either way is my point. If the Recreation Commission is looking to defer to us, and that's what I've heard, then, I think it's okay for us to simply move forward. But in any case, just to get some sort of sense here, should we close off the beach area? Is that a consensus,
yes,
at least at this point in time, and then revisit it later should the state take other action on their inland water parks, for lack of a better word?
Are you saying the beach area, or are you talking swimming?
No, I'm talking the entire beach area, because here's my thought. If we leave the beach area open even for picnic, okay, darn well that now you've really opened up the beach as well. So so my point is we should probably fence that off, post some signage saying beach closed per order of, and that's where we stand on it at this point in time. Again, can we revisit this later if the state begins to change its position and opens up Black Rock State Park and we could follow their protocol? Well, fine, but at this juncture, I think it's in our best interest to do that.
Would that be strictly the sandy beach area, or would that also include the shaded picnic area near the beach?
The shade, I'm indicating the shaded picnic area as well, because Jeff, if we let him in there, then we're letting him in. I mean, there's just the horse is out of the barn, so to speak, at that point. You guys had made a suggestion that we do something up by the pavilion with spreading those tables around and then going in that direction. That, you know, that provides opportunity for folks to go up and utilize the park facilities for picnicking. Okay. And while it's not the nicely shaded area that you referenced, Jeff, it's something that can be give at least some control over.
Marty, do you have people working there now, or do you have anyone hired for the summer at this point?
Well, nobody's working there now, to answer that question, because a lot of the kids, believe it or not, even though it doesn't seem like it, they're still in school. So of the 3 lifeguards I have, they're still attending their virtual school thing. So generally, they would start about June 15th. Is a typical starting date, which is usually the first Monday after school gets out. The 2 girls that I have that would collect the money are in college. They would have been ready to work 2 weeks ago if I let them. But I don't have a lifeguard to provide at this point. They're in school all day other than the weekends. So yes, I do have people that are ready to work probably around June 10th to the 14th. A couple of them don't go to school in Thomaston. I don't know their exact graduation date, but yes, I do have people that will work, but not today.
So going to what Ed is recommending about closing the beach area, I'm wondering if there's anything else we really need to do today beyond that, and possibly say we would close the beach area for a period of, well, from this point forward, and that we would maybe meet between now and our next selectmen's meeting to come up with additional recommendations and decisions at that point, because I don't see the state changing much between now and June 16th.
Nor do I, Jeff. And to meet prior to change anything regarding the beach itself and that area, that general area, I think is until the state makes some sort of move themselves. Again, because I think once the state opens up a little more, should they decide to do so, that'll alleviate a lot of the pressure on the nice rooms. Yeah. And then it may, and I won't say is, but may be a plausible alternative. You know, but at this juncture, I just don't see it. And so if we can say we're going to close it off, and I can get Glenn to string some sort of fencing up there, even if he needs to go out and buy some sort of material. I mean, we're not going to put up permanent fencing. We'll find, you know, we'll have something.
Orange fence with some stakes is fine.
Yeah. Marty, do you know what the deal is with the Corps of Engineers in the dam areas?
That I know nothing.
They're still all closed. I mean, they're not allowing even people behind Thomaston Dam, not at lead mine or on the motorcycle biking trail, nothing.
Right. They're allowing foot traffic, but you have to observe the rules.
Yeah, you can walk down behind there, but they don't even open the gates at this point.
Right. So we don't know when they're going to change either.
No. There is one.
The only thing I would say about the beach area is I just think if we're going to wait 2 weeks, Jeff, like you said, like you're suggesting as a possibility, I'm not trying to say you're making it the thing, but I think what might make it hard is if we allow people to continue to go in there this week, next week, the week after, then it becomes June 16th, and then we make the final decision, okay, now we're going to close the beach. I think that may actually irritate people at some point. It almost feels like, well, the town of Thomaston has been letting us go in May, half of June, and suddenly now on June 16th, we decide as a board of selectmen, we're going to close the beach for the summer. I feel like if we're going to make that decision, it should probably come earlier than later and get them used to the idea of it. I don't know why we would let people go in there half the summer and then close it.
You know, what I'm thinking is, you know, if we're closing it, we would close it now with no definite opening date, because we're going to rely on the state. And I would even recommend that we maybe close the parking lot down below, so that, you know, all the parking is up by the track and whatnot. and that's where that picnic area is.
And
Anyway.
again, I'm okay with that, but I'll give you an example. The parking lot down below was closed until May 15th.
Yep.
The beach area was completely overwhelmed with people who parked in the middle parking lot by the track, and they just walked there with their chairs and their coolers, and they did whatever they wanted. I mean, we had a couple of Fridays where we couldn't mow the grass in the beach area because there was so many people in there that you couldn't dare mow near anybody. You'd kill somebody if you ever hit a rock, you know? So I'm telling you, even when the bottom is closed, they will park, they will walk. They'll park on the road, they'll walk. I don't know if that's going to be the, you know, the end of it just by closing that bottom parking lot. I don't think that will work.
And there are those, if I may chime in, there are those who do use the tennis courts and park in that area as well.
Right.
For what it's worth, I think the best way to handle this is to close off that beach area, put up a fence, and call it a day. The only issue I'm going to see arising out of this is boats are still allowed to be used, and we do have an area where we can bring a boat in that is like a rowboat or a canoe or a kayak or something.
Yeah, well, I think you make a good point, Ed, because that had become an issue with people when the bottom parking lot was closed. People were complaining that they couldn't get in there with their boat, their kayak, they couldn't fish, they couldn't do anything, you know? And
right. And that is still a permitted activity.
The boat ramp going to be open, you know? And that's the thing I kept getting. And that's why I always say it's a very difficult park to legislate, I think. It is a lot of people doing a lot of different things. And it's always easy to say, let's close off the bottom parking lot, but that's where the tennis court is. That's where the boat launch is. They don't have to be swimming, but there's other activities in that park that they want to do. And it's very hard to just close things off to people. How are they going to get a boat from the middle parking lot over the boulders, past the pavilion, walking 300 yards to the beach, you know? And so that's what goes on in that park. It's difficult. In a normal year, you'd have Little League games going on where people park in that lower parking lot. It's very hard to shut that off from people. Obviously, right now we don't have Little League, but that would be a normal course of routine there. So unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's not what I want to happen, but I think the only thing you can do is leave the bottom gate open and actually fence off the beach area or the picnic and the beach area, you know, whatever you prefer. But I think the idea of closing the gate on the bottom parking lot is not going to really help a lot. You'll probably irritate some people that just want to put their boat in the water. You'll irritate tennis people who had no intention of going to the beach anyway, now can't get to the tennis courts. That's my gut feeling on it.
And I concur.
Well,
So, unless we have
pass
more,
this by the rec commission too, right?
Roger, lean back just a little bit. I think somehow or another you're getting feedback when you speak. Go ahead, try again.
No, we are going to pass this by the rec commission.
You want to pass it by the rec commission?
Well, they may still want to take charge of this.
They should, but unfortunately they deferred to us. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Roger. I mean, I know normally that would be the course of action, but I think even based on their feelings, they're a good bunch of people. I think they'd still want to run it by you guys, to be honest with you. I know they maybe have the authority over the parks, and you can make that argument, but I still think that they would run it by the Board of Selectmen for something as significant as closing a park or closing a beach area or something. I know that they would want your input, and frankly, I would argue they probably would defer to you guys as the ultimate, you know, decision-making board of the town. But if you want me to get them together, I can certainly try that. But my gut feeling is, I think, Roger, they'd say, you know, if you and Ed and Jeff believe that this is in the best course of Thomaston, I think they'd be happy to defer to that. But if you want their blessing on something, I'd be happy to get that together for you.
I just think that's a courtesy.
And I respect that too.
So,
As do I. So listen, are we in agreement that the beach area should be closed with the exception of the ability to get in there with a boat? Are we in agreement on that?
Roger, yes.
Jeff?
Yes, I still had a question or two, though. Marty, right now, or in the past, people playing tennis, would they normally get admitted for free and they wouldn't pay for parking?
Yes.
Okay. And if we were to close, is it our intention then to make this parking free for the time being, or would we still be charging parking to come in and yet not go to the beach and picnic area?
Well, what happened, Jeff, was about last season, we changed that the ordinance was changed in the park from a parking fee to a beach access fee. So that years ago, it used to be considered a parking fee. That went by the wayside slightly before you were one of the selectmen. So what happens now is instead of the kids charging money to get into the park at the gate, which became a problem because people were going to Little League games, they were going to tennis. It really had nothing to do with the idea of the beach. So now the money collecting thing has gone down to the top of the beach area. So anybody that goes into the bottom parking area can get in there for free. But if you try to access the beach area, that's where you have to pay.
And Marty, do you think, based on these decisions that we're making, we would need to have even some sort of monitor or an employee at the park during regular hours in order to make sure that everything's being observed, all of our rules are being observed?
Well, you know, Jeff, I feel like I'd hate to have somebody have to sit there all day getting paid for doing very little. But at the same point, I agree with you. If we're going to wait for the police department to make a routine patrol every couple of hours, this whole thing may go by the wayside anyway. You know, by the time they come up, there could be 20 people in the water. Yeah, but I hate to see somebody sit there all day getting even minimum wage just to tell people you can't come in sitting in front of an orange fence. That should be self-explanatory to people, right? But I do hear what you're saying. There are people that will jump it, they'll go around it. There's access from Valley View side. People come down through the woods. There's people that park on the road. They'll go by it from Turner Road. They'll say, I didn't see the sign because I walked through the woods. Yeah, all that could happen.
Yeah, my thinking is this, and again, this is in a perfect world, so we can discuss the finances of it. But if you had that person at the gate, and while they're not charging admission, the person has to stop. You have to hand them a sheet of paper which has the park rules on it. So everybody who goes in is completely aware of what is allowed and not allowed. Yeah. That way, if there's any issue, if anyone violates these rules, they can say you're violating, stop, and if they don't, we simply call the authorities and have them removed. But my concern is without anyone monitoring this and having those gates open, it's only a matter of time where suddenly there'll be 20, 30 people down in the picnic area, in the beach area, regardless of the fence. And, with 2 officers on duty, is that the crowd that they're going to want to be dealing with?
So I'll chime in on this a little bit, if I may. My thought certainly was we could potentially utilize some of the kids that were going to be lifeguards. Maybe males are a little less inclined to be intimidated. Maybe I'm making a judgment that's incorrect. Maybe you have some aggressive females as well who would be willing to take on that kind of role. And we could cycle those kids through, and they can all pick up a little bit of money, Marty. You know the personalities better than I do. With that said, Jeff, the police are not going to want to be running up there to take care of these situations.
Exactly.
I'm telling you straight up.
Having someone who's passing out the rules, making it clear. I'd also like to see some signage made up that's both at the gates and, you know, at the edges of the parking lot, said when people are getting out of their cars, they're aware of the rules at every step. And hopefully we don't have to have the police come at all, but if it is, it's at a minimum amount of calls versus a maximum.
Yeah.
And that could be wishful thinking, but I think it's the best we could do under these circumstances. And that is put up signage, and if we have somebody up there, we can actually have a couple of people. All right. You could have one up at the upper area by the picnic tables that will disperse, if we agree on that idea. And this person can kind of monitor that a little bit so that, here's a picnic table for you, Joe, and your family. And here's one over here for you, and potentially monitor that a little bit as well. And someone down below, and you know what, they can walk around a little bit as well, instead of just sitting there bored silly all day. But then you can employ two things accomplished. You employ some of these kids that look forward to getting some summer employment from Marty. Marty, you don't get you're not going to have the offset from whatever is generated at the beach to pay it, but so be that. Okay.
No, but that money for them is in the budget anyway, and it's,
Fine,
I don't think that's a big
that
issue.
was a
The
lesser
money
of
we
my
make
concern,
goes back into that account.
So
It's
we
not
can
a
still employ a couple.
budgetary issue.
Yeah, we can still employ some of these kids who look forward to some summer employment from you. We can use them more as a monitor. We close off the beach area. We disperse some of these picnic tables up at the upper area, which also kind of takes care of your issue with the pavilion being overcrowded. You know what I mean, Marty?
I've had
And, we space things out.
The majority of people that have had pavilion rentals have contacted me and canceled and are asking for refunds at this point.
And that's
I've had
just as
5K
well.
road races. I've had birthday parties. Most of them in June and July have already asked for all their money back. They're done. I don't think we have a lot of issues up there. So if you want to grab those 8, 10 picnic tables out of the pavilion and move them to the lower end, not a big issue. We can move those easily and give people some more space down there to spread out. And if you want to use the lower part of the parking lot, even though it's in the sun, I mean, I think we can do that. Whatever. I'm open to anything. I'm really not in the concept of not giving people anything to do this summer. I just want them to do it the right way, just like I know you guys want it.
Well, I would be in favor of taking some of those tables from the pavilion and bring them down to the parking area.
Yeah,
Why
absolutely.
don't
We could. And that'll
why
really
not spread them around right up there, Roger, so we don't have to lug them as far? And you can even leave a few under the pavilion if you space them out.
Well, yeah,
So now people can sit under there and there's the shade.
Leave some under the pavilion. But once you get out from under the pavilion, there's not many level areas for picnic tables.
Well, you may well be right.
You got a close look at
area. Because those pavilion are pretty heavy too.
Right. We should look at that logistically a little bit. We don't want to lug things around any more than we have to. If we want to get some up because we need them, or we find that people, let's approach it in this manner. If we find that we need more picnic tables because people are coming up and utilizing that which we've made available to them in the upper area by the track, then we can certainly get some picnic tables that are already down at the lower area and bring them up instead of lugging the heavy ones down. It's probably logistically that'll work a little better, but let's monitor it. We may not get a large influx of people who want to use them for picnicking at all. They may say, look, if we can't go use the beach, what the heck do we care about picnicking? And what we really wanted to do was go up and utilize the pavilion for events, so let's kind of play it by ear a little bit. And then we can leave that up to Marty as to whether he needs more picnicking area. And certainly he could talk to Glenn about giving him the assistance to move things with the guys, and we can play it by ear a little bit instead of assuming that everybody really wants to go up there and picnic. I don't know that that's so. I don't know that it's not.
This stuff is predicated by the weather, Ed. I mean, if you end up with a summer that rains, 5 days a week, you don't really have people problems.
Right.
You just don't know. And then other years it's hotter than heck, and everybody wants to be in the water, and it's packed up there.
I understand.
You just don't know year to year how it's going to be. But I think the decision is, to me, it's like this. you want to open the beach and a picnic area or you don't. I think that's the first thing. And secondly, if you want to limit the people that go there so we don't violate all these distancing issues and overcrowding, then how do we go about that? Is it in terms of, do we count heads? Do we count cars? Do we do that? And I think it's as simple as a two-question thing. And if your guys' decision is we're not comfortable opening it, that's easy. If you want to open it, that's fine. And then we can move on to how do we limit the number of people? Do we think 100 people is adequate? Do we think 50 cars is adequate? If we get 50 cars, we close the gate. You know, I have somebody close it. We put the sign up, beach is closed until 3 cars go out, 3 more can go in. But I think it could be diced into just some easier things. And if you guys aren't open to the idea of opening at all, then it's a very simple question.
I think we simply, listen, I'm gonna advocate for we close the beach area. That's my position on it. And we provide some picnicking at the upper park and then play it by ear. Let's see how it goes from there. We don't need to count cars then, Marty, or people or otherwise. If you have no picnic area down there, you have no picnic area. So only people in the lower parking lot are those that are either A, boating, or B, playing tennis.
Yep.
At the upper level, that's going to still continue to be used for things like the track. And if we find that there's plenty of people who want to picnic up there, we'll provide greater opportunity for that. Let's not complicate it anymore than we need be.
Yep.
Suggesting at the same time you get a couple of kids up there on different shifts, maybe, however you monitor that, to pass out information indicating that, yep, beach is closed, sorry, can't use it. You want a picnic, you can go up there, okay? And that kind of thing.
Okay. So if I understand you, we would.
This is my position.
No, I know, it's just you're one person's opinion. I respect that. We haven't reached that decision yet. But your feeling would be leave the picnic area open, but fence off the swimming area.
The picnic area up at the track.
Okay.
Up at the track.
So
at
you
the
would
lower
fence off the entire picnic beach area.
Impossible to monitor that, make that happen.
Okay, I just want to understand you, that's all.
Yep.
Not questioning you, I'm just trying to understand, what you were saying.
Understand, yep. Impossible. We fence that off and that's closed until further notice.
So Ed, would you like a motion to that effect?
I would.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we close off the beach area, including the lower picnic area, and spread out our picnic tables up at the pavilion, and that we remain closed until further review, and that we keep this as an agenda item moving forward.
Yeah, can remain as an open agenda item. Roger?
I just second it.
Okay, any comment?
Nope.
Hearing none. Hearing none. All in favor of that motion indicate by saying aye. Ed Mon, aye.
Roger, aye.
Jeff, aye.
Very good. Okay. I think that kind of handles all of your questions, really, Marty, in terms of Nystrom's.
Yep. And I would surmise by that you guys will revisit this on your next selectmen's meeting based on change.
I think it'll just remain.
In the state.
Marty, it would just remain an open item. We can put it back on it. We can leave it on its old business, okay?
Okay.
And should the state take a different position, or you come to some other conclusions you'd like to bring forward regarding Nystrom's Park, it remains an open item that we can go back to.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll let the employees, that thought they would work there or hope that they would work, I'll let them know that at this point, it isn't going to happen until further notice. That's best.
Well, would you not want to use a couple of them to do some
I could.
rangering?
Yeah, I could use one of them. I mean, I got a kid that worked there anyway, doing the maintenance work. He could easily partake in, doing that with no problem at all. He's there in the park anyway. So, and I don't mean Tyler when I say that. I got the Treglia kid, works up there in the summer, and he'd be a good fit to, while he's working up there, could easily, you know, if he sees people going down there, could do that. He's got the will to do it.
Marty,
Okay.
could we ask you to have some sort of set of posted rules that we could put up, and also have something in little slips of paper that we could be handing to people?
In terms of it being closed, Jeff?
Yeah,
Posted, you mean?
just when people are coming in, they're being handed a piece of paper saying, you know, you're entering, and please know that the beach area is closed. No,
Okay.
you know, and that
So that's gonna-
boats are allowed and fishing is allowed, or whatever. And
Okay.
Right.
we have it written down, so if there's no arguments with the kid or anything, it's all right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
So that's gonna require more than one kid, though. Use a couple.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, how long do you want somebody posted there all day doing that?
Well,
You know, do you have any thoughts? I mean, generally, you know, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, generally it's quiet there. I just don't know how this year will be. It's such a weird year. And then we start to ramp up the staffing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Marty, I'm gonna leave that in your very capable hands
Okay.
to staff it appropriately based on your observation.
Very well.
Yeah,
Okay.
use your own
I'll,
judgment, Marty.
and I'll speak with Glenn about getting a fence put up. If he doesn't have enough, we'll buy it. You know,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
problem. But we're gonna have to fence that off from end to end.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to leave some sort of accessibility through the boat ramp. I don't know how you pull that one off.
Right. No, that's
Okay.
that's no problem.
Okay,
We'll-
and please go to,
Run it along the guardrail most of the way and down the boat ramp, and that should be it.
Marty, speak with Glenn about it too, okay? Don't exclude him here.
No, I'm gonna need his help, to be honest with you. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speak with him about it. He
Yeah, I
may
will.
well have some fencing and things that he already can put in place there with,
Yeah.
which won't, you know, which will save everybody some juice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next piece. There was a proposal for a potential bike trail. Please
Hey, Marty,
talk
thank you
about
for your
that a
time.
little bit. Marty,
I'll say that again.
talk about the bike trail proposal that came.
Oh, okay.
Folks,
So
little
so I was approached by 3 gentlemen from Thomaston. They're pretty prominent guys in Thomaston who are into this mountain biking thing. And it's a pretty popular thing across the United States now. And so in Northfield Dam, there's miles of trails over there that are cleared. And these people from Thomaston are looking for an access point to get from Thomaston into the Northfield Dam area to access those tracks. So they've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers, who is very much in favor of us providing this access point. They want to promote this type of thing. I asked for a letter from Army Corps of Engineers head over there, and he's yet to provide it, although I hear it is coming. But I don't have it in hand. He's very much in favor of the concept. So these guys have been clearing trails over in the Northfield Dam. And strangely, the access point to do this in Thomaston is through Highwood Farms. And the access point is only about 300 yards to reach government property over there, which seems odd. You guys know the town as well as I do. It seems like it would be a lot farther, but it's only about 300 yards. And the access point that is the closest is a new access road that the town put in for the sewer department to reach the pump station in Highwood Farms. So I took some pictures, I sent it to Ed. There's one house that's near it, and that's the picture you're looking at. This would be the one house that's the most impacted by it. And they're pretty well guarded by the trees, as you can see. This is not going to be a huge thing. The 3 guys believe there might be 5 to 10 people that want to do this thing. I believe it will grow beyond that once people know about it. So with that said, what they have to do to access it is they have to go around one telephone pole that is the highway department put up at the top of this access road for the sewer department. They got to go around it. It would be to the left of this, and then straight down through that open area of grass. Once they go over that grass area, it drops down into the woods. They got to go about 200 yards. They'll reach Army Corps of Engineers property. So this is sort of their game plan. This is a little better view of that area. You can almost see the path where either deer or they've already been riding on it, frankly, goes through. So they're looking for permission from the town to do that. Now, with that said, the town has erected a chain and some poles to block that access roadway, which you can see there. So I made it very clear to those people, this thing cannot become a parking lot. If Rich Tingle has a call, he sends his guys out to the pump station, they have to be able to access this thing. They're very clear about that. So we want to, if approved, we want to get some signage on this thing that says, parking is up in the Highwood Farms parking area, up by the baseball field. We want to redirect people up there. I talked to them about, I don't want people parking on the street. I don't want them in front of people's driveways, nothing. Either park up above or it's not going to happen. They're 100% for it. They'll even pay for the signage. They're very into this. So on top of it, this mountain biking group that's a nationwide thing is willing to provide insurance to the town, and they'll list the town as an additional insured on top of it. So the town doesn't have a ton of liability involved in it. And ultimately, you're talking about a 300-yard stretch to get to it. The rest of that, really, the liability, if any, would be on the government and not us. But they're looking for the okay from the town to get around this post, drive through that open field you can see. Once it drops over the other side, they're almost on the dam property. But that will allow people to go from the Northfield Dam side into Thomaston, and it will allow Thomaston people, and these guys live in Highwood Farms, so it's an easy understand why they want to do this, but to go from there over to there. About 30 miles of mountain biking trails that would encompass the town and Northfield together. So that's what they have proposed as an idea. I took the pictures for you guys. I assured them that I would send it to you guys and get your opinion on what you thought about it.
Okay, my first question, if I may, and we're fortunate enough to have Stacy Seafick here. Stacy, is this in any way a planning and zoning issue?
My only thought is the possibility of whether or not it would require an 824 review.
Explain 824.
A referral, if it's something, use of town property.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Then they would have to look at it wearing their planning hat and decide whether it's consistent with the plan of conservation and development.
Okay. So that
And
was
it's advisory to you guys. It's not
Right,
binding, it's
all right.
advisory to you.
All right, it's advisory. Okay, okay. The other piece would be is from my point, as I think about this, Marty, certainly there is that one house there that we would be concerned about the neighbor having some input. But in as far as, and you brought it up, even though we know we can tell people one thing, but that doesn't mean they're going to necessarily do it. I learned that lesson pretty hard the other day with town hall openings. So the fact is, because we tell them they can't park here, or or we don't want you parking on the street, you must use the upper lot. And to your point, it's going to grow. It's going to grow. Yeah, it'll start off with a few people in the neighborhood, but what happens when it catches on, if it catches on? Yep. Where's the parking? I know we have parking available. I'm just not sure that people will respect that and do it. So it's almost as though I would like to have some conversation with the neighborhood too. That's why it was almost good to hear if it was a P&Z thing. But go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think there were two access points they could do it from. The other one is by the pump station, which is at the other end of this access road. And there's about 3 houses over there with decks off the back of their houses. And I was really the one that steered them away from that. I thought that would be an issue. And for them to do what they want to do, they were going to have to build a bridge across a ravine to do it. And I told them, you're not going to be able to just build a bridge on town property. Now we're going to have to get the building inspector involved. This has to be the real deal. You're not going to build a wooden thing and just say, it's good enough,
Yeah,
So
no, no.
we walked up to the other end and they're saying this is like 1/3 of the distance to get to where they need to get. And I'm like, why don't we try this? I think this is the best opportunity if we can make this happen. I mean,
And I'm not disagreeing with that
well,
as a
that's
best
how we ended up
opportunity,
at the
Marty.
point.
I just have some concerns about the things I stated, the neighborhood's response to it for one thing, I have concerns about that. Anybody else? Roger, Jeff, what do you
Yeah.
guys think?
Make sure you pass it by our insurance agent too.
Well, that's a given. We'd make sure that any insurance coverage that would be required would be in compliance with that which our
Right, well,
insurance
just let
broker
them know because there's that exposure there, so.
Yep, and I agree. And Ed said that to me the first time. Let's get a hold of our insurance company and make sure whatever insurance they're providing, let's make sure it's adequate with what we would require. So that would certainly be a step in this thing, is getting that insurance policy and say, okay, what does the town require? Is it 2 million, 10 million? We're not, if they're going to provide $22,000, that's not what we're looking for. They're going to have to match what we require as a minimum, or it's not going to happen.
Well, the insurance
That's absolutely
company can tell you that.
Jeff?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I really wasn't sure what these photos were when you sent them to me earlier, Ed, and I was going to ask.
Okay.
So
Yeah, they're a little obscure. I got to be honest with you.
I'm relatively ignorant to what you're talking about here, but it sounds great. You're saying that there's 30 miles worth of trails.
Yep.
Does this actually go through Northfield Dam?
Yes, they're all on the Northfield Dam property.
And is there access if people chose to go to Northfield Dam and Park? Can they ride their bikes and connect to them there as well?
Yes. So they go to either a knife shop to do it, or if the gates are open at Northfield Dam, they can drive their cars there, unload their bikes, and they can ride all those things. The one thing they can't do is come into Thomaston off of that thing. And Thomaston people have to drive to Northfield to do it. And literally, Jeff, we're talking about 3 guys at this point. Not saying it won't be more at some point, but it's Greg Blasco, Tim Jackson, and Josh Wassman are these big mountain biking guys, and they all live like in Highwood. Frankly, I think they're already doing it, to be honest with you. But they want to make it more of a big thing. It's a big mountain biking association in the United States, and they want to try to promote it in our town. And that's sort of the concept. So people could go to Highwood Farms, park their car, unload their bike. They can ride down the road, go around this one pole, and then do their thing in the Northfield Dam area, 20, 30 miles of trails, come back up, do their thing. That's sort of the concept.
I think it's a great thing for just having more outdoor activities in Thomaston. If this were to become a mountain bike trail, does that preclude someone from walking that trail?
It does not. In fact, they said that it's very common for mountain biking trails to be also used by hikers. They described this to me as a one single trail where someone would have to get off the trail to let someone pass. But they say that's very common. And generally, people that do this activity are very respectful of each other. So if you're riding your bike and you happen to come across mom walking in the other direction, they generally take their bike off the trail, let somebody pass them. And I don't know all that much about it, but that's the way they describe it to me. But yes, people could hike it, to answer your question.
Great.
And no motorcycles. We're not talking about any motorized vehicles. This is a strictly pedal bike trail. That's it. No dirt bikes, nothing like that. And that may be part of our signage if we reach that point.
You're not looking for any action from us right now, though, right?
All I could do is tell them that I would bring it up to you guys and report back to them what your feelings were about it. I know they're anxious to get it going, but I'm not asking you, Jeff, for action tonight. If it's something you want to, carry on further, that's fine. I think they're hoping maybe for even something in concept would be a good idea, just so they can think about, that it's going to happen. They want to clear the trail. They want to continue to go on. There's a tree down across it. You know, they asked me if the highway department could cut the tree. I said, you know, we got to get to the point of approval before we're going to clear a tree for you at this point. So that's kind of where we are, Jeff. I think if nothing else, they'd probably be thrilled if they we're okay with the idea, but we need some more information. I think even that they'd be okay with.
Listen,
I would love to see an aerial shot, even if it's a Google Maps, just so I have an idea of actually where these trails are. But
They do have one of that, Jeff. I've seen it. It's an aerial thing above it, but it's so heavily wooded that it's just a squiggly yellow line through a bunch of trees. I don't know that you'd get what you're looking for from that, but they actually have one. They provided to me already.
if you wanted to, Marty has offered to meet us all up there so that we could see it physically and where it is and what surrounds it. So if that's something you guys would like to do, we can make that arrangement and have that happen.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
You're ready for a 30-mile walk.
I can handle it, Raj.
Well, you know what, Roger? You don't have to do the whole trail. All you really have to do is get from the sign to the start of the trail, and it's like 300 yards. That's it.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing how short the distance is in Thomaston to get people to be able to access what's available in Northfield. It's pretty amazing. I was surprised myself. To me, Northfield DM seems so far away. You know, you think you have to drive all the way to 254 and do that whole thing. And the reality is it's sitting right behind Highwood Farms the whole time.
Okay, if we would, I think, you know, if these guys would like to do that, we'll let them chime in on that. One of the things that I did allude to earlier is we would want Stacy to bring it to the Planning and Zoning Commission minimally to get some advisory feedback from them. Stacy, please do that. That would be the appropriate procedure to see if it fits in with the overall concept of plan and development. I'm sure she'll do that, and we'll hear from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I would suggest we keep this as an open item and make some further decision on it. Marty, you can report back to them that we are giving it consideration. We're asking for P&Z's input on it.
Yeah,
I do continue to have, I just have the
to
voice.
take a look at it with me. That's fine.
Just
I
say,
just have to
Marty,
voice
there's
I do-
actually a P&Z meeting tomorrow night.
There you go.
Okay.
Happens quick. I do continue to have some concern about residents and making them aware of what is being proposed for the area. Last thing I want to do is start having people coming in, and it may start off as 3. Next thing you know, I just want residents in the area to be aware of what is being proposed, specifically that house that is right next to it.
Yeah.
They need to know, and they basically need to sign off on it, or at least, be aware of it.
Okay.
Okay, so how we go about that, if it's not a planning and zoning issue specifically, then some survey has to be conducted. And as far as this group is interested in doing it, I would have them conduct that survey of the houses in the area. We could tell them, we could have Stacy provide a list basically of those who should be notified, and then look for some feedback from them. I'd like to hear from the neighborhood as well before condoning anything. I think it's a good concept, but again, I'm concerned about the neighborhood as well.
Marty, do you see the map that's up on the screen now?
I do.
Where are we specifically talking about the park?
I would say, see the bend in the road, right on the corner.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that house right there below it is the.
Yeah. So you see the open area, the grass. It's almost a straight line.
Yeah.
So below that is the one house that sits near that. If I'm describing that correctly enough for you. Yeah.
You
exactly. That house.
You can actually see the paths much better now.
So you can almost see the pathway the way it's already there. And there's a small drainage pond here that's clearly constructed by man. There's stones in it and all kinds of stuff. But they want to make that one run down that straight path to which would be above the water, you can see. And then there's just that one house that's below it. And like I said, I took a couple of pictures of it. It's heavily wooded with pines and bushes, and
It's a
doesn't
pump
seem
station.
like it'd be a big issue for them, but
If people are willing to ride 30 miles in the woods on a bike, why wouldn't they just park at the soccer field and ride in from there?
I didn't hear the beginning of that. It was
Jeff, I
Are
suppose
willing
there is
to
no reason
drive
why they
30
wouldn't be
miles.
willing to do that. But
we
I just, you don't know we don't know what people will do.
Yeah, we do want them to do that, Jeff. We want them to park at the soccer field,
Okay.
drive their car down the road, and be able to enter that thing. Currently, it says no trespassing. You know, it's a town access road to the sewer department pump station. They're just looking for the okay to go past the no trespassing sign, go 300 yards through the woods, and then be onto the Northfield property. But yes, we don't want to park it in front of the chain, the sign, nothing. I don't want to, goof up Richie Tingle's thing at all. And I talked to Rich about it already. He was fine with it. He goes, I'm okay with it as long as the board of selectmen sign off on it. He goes, but I can't send my guys out here and find 3 cars in front of the chain and I can't get in. And I totally respect that. They have a job to do.
Yep.
We want people to park up at the baseball field, the soccer field with signage, bike trail, parking here, and unload their bikes and drive down the road and hit the trail and be gone. That's all they're looking for.
Sounds good.
Okay. So
Thank
we'll
you,
leave this as an open item and under old business to be revisited at our next meeting after hearing back more from planning and zoning. And we'll continue the discussion at that point to determine if and how we proceed with this request. Is that reasonable to all?
Yep.
And if so,
Yes.
I'll ask for motion
Yep.
to table for discussion and ask for a motion to table till the next meeting.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Aye, Ed Mullen.
Aye.
Steph, aye.
Okay, all in favor. Thank you. Last item for you, Marty. You're it tonight, buddy. There's a question about Little League. Please.
Yeah, the Little League has a proposal on the table to restart their league June 20th of this year. So Little League Inc., if you will, of Pennsylvania and also of Connecticut has given the okay for Little League programs to resume their program or start their program in this instance on June 20th with all the distancing and all the other things that come with these type of things. So I sent you guys their proposal of what they wanted to do. I sent Ed the email of what Tanya Galpin, who's the president of the Thomaston Little League, was proposing that they do. She did say in their email that she had surveyed all of their potential players and 80% of their parents were not willing to let them play at this point. I'm not sure that June 20th is a realistic date for them, but I do think what they're looking for is the idea of, is the town willing to let them use the athletic facilities when they're ready to go, whether that's June 20th or later. I think that's what they're looking for. To be honest with you, she said she wasn't even going to let her own kids play at this point. I'm not sure if the concept was we'd like to start playing, or if the town's not willing to let us use the fields, we're happy to cancel our season. I couldn't get a real feel for her on what she was doing. If the June 20th doesn't happen, I think they are planning on a fall season to give the kids something to do. That was their thing. So I don't know if you guys have at all had a chance to read what their rules were in terms.
I don't think I
If you
forwarded it,
don't,
Marty, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine.
Actually, I did.
I'll hit the big things, Jeff, for you.
No, actually, I did read it.
Okay, you did. Okay, very
I got
good.
it today, so I don't know who gave it to me, but
I must have forwarded it then, and I just don't recall.
I thought it was a pretty comprehensive, procedures on all of this, whether it's obtainable and whether the league will, the local league will want to do it is a question. But I don't see any reason for us to stand in the way if they can achieve that.
Roger?
No, it's fine. If they can make use of it, go for it.
Okay. I honestly am of the same mind. That is to say, if the Little League, and did I hear you say, Marty, that Connecticut Little League and Pennsylvania Little League have indicated that they're ready to open up and start playing ball on the 20th with
Yes.
with this set of rules? Is that correct?
That is correct. This is not Thomaston Little League arbitrarily trying to do something on their own. This is coming from the state of Connecticut Little League and Williamsport themselves. So they're under the charter of those groups. And so they've been given the okay by them, but that doesn't mean the town of Thomaston has to accept that. So they also need the town's approval to, Little League Inc. doesn't run Thomaston. So it's really ultimately our decision whether we're okay with them, doing that. I thought the rules were pretty comprehensive. I got to say, I do agree with Jeff. Can they enforce them? That probably remains to be seen, but they're not serving food. They're not letting kids in the dugouts. They're not, the dugouts are going to be chained and locked off. They all have to be outside on the fence. They can't share equipment. It seemed like a pretty comprehensive plan to get the kids out and doing something. There's no handshaking. There's no fist pumping, elbow bumping after the game, that kind of thing. I thought it was pretty well written. It seemed okay to me to give it a shot and give the kids a chance to get out and do something.
So I would be willing to make a motion to that, and to allow us to open our baseball fields, providing we follow the recommended procedure by Little League, and also pending review and approval by the Rec Commission on all of this as well. Because Marty, you may want to have additional rules or that weren't considered.
Roger?
I'll go along with that.
Okay, so that's a second?
Second.
Is that a second? That's a second? Okay. I have a motion and a second. Let's take a roll call vote on this. This is to permit the Thomaston Little League to utilize the facilities for Little League games. Edmond, aye.
Roger, aye.
Games and practices, I should say. Edmond, aye.
Roger, aye.
Jeff, aye.
Very good.
And Ed, I assume you are also including that we are following those guidelines.
Concur. All right, so I think we've wrapped it up for tonight for you, Marty.
Okay.
We will have to revisit a couple of things with you. Nystrom, should the situation change. The bike trail, as we get more information and feedback from various individuals, principally at this point, planning and zoning. And again, I'm going to be looking for something from the neighborhood. So if these guys want to get active and talk to people in the area, and again, you can, if you would, Stacy can give you some sort of list, as I suggested, Marty. You give it to the guys. Let's follow something similar to what we would do with any kind of planning and zoning, joining and abutting and that kind of thing, so we get a sense from the neighborhood if they're comfortable with it as well.
Stacy, will you be bringing us up tomorrow night at your meeting, or is your agenda posted at this point? It's past that.
It's posted, but it's not a special meeting, so they can add it on.
Okay.
So do you want Marty there to present?
He might want to. I mean, you might be able to speak to some of the things. I mean, I've heard some of it, but you might be able to speak to some of it more, if you don't mind, Marty.
No, that's fine. What time is your meeting tomorrow night?
7 o'clock tomorrow night. I can shoot you an email with the link for the meeting.
Okay.
Another virtual. They all are.
Yep.
Okay,
No
thank you
problem.
very much. And thank you,
Okay,
Marty.
thanks, guys. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
We appreciate yours as well. Okay, moving on to item number 6, Board Commission appointments. We have one reappointment of Jeremy Weed to the Ambulance Commission.
So moved.
Motion, please.
Second.
Roger. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Jeff, aye.
Roger, aye. Jeff, aye. Ed Mon, aye. Jeff Weed is reappointed. We do have some tax refunds, gentlemen. Give me a moment to pull them out. As we've been doing, I'll simply read them and ask for someone to make a motion, and we'll do it in I have 3 of them, I believe. Yes. So we'll do it as in one motion. So as recommended by the tax collector, town of Thomaston, a refund of $625.21 to 8 Car Leasing Ltd. Once again, as recommended by the tax collector, town of Thomaston, a refund of $382.83 to Jason Aulette. And lastly, as recommended by the tax collector, town of Thomaston, a refund of $23.11 to Mary Stewart.
Is that your motion, Ed?
Motion, I have,
Okay, second.
and a second. Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Roger. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Ed Mon, aye.
Roger, aye.
Jeff, aye.
Thank you. That wraps that up. Communications. I did get a brief, I didn't have it posted because it came in a little late, but just to let you guys know, Mary Beth Johnson and Mary Lucilla have been working on, well, they're part of the beautification committee, but they've also been working on the Seth Thomas Park revitalization. They indicated that a lot of spring cleanup has taken place with 19 volunteers working 9 different gardens. So kudos to them for what they do around town to beautify the town. Also, they mentioned that Fred LeMay, multiple yards of mulch donated from a local business, Fred LeMay. So very nice for Fred LeMay to donate the mulch for their use. They did want to let everybody know that they had put up a fundraiser on Sustainable Connecticut lobby.org is wrapping up. This was one where you put in dollars and they matched some. They had a goal of $5,740 to meet, and they've exceeded the goal and are still going. So once again, kudos to them. That'll be able to pay for their planned survey to create a master plan for Seth Thomas Park.
Good.
Just wanted to keep you guys apprised. Any questions there? I didn't think so, but thank you. Public comment. We do have some public present. Stacy, if anyone would like to speak, please be respectful. Sean Lewis, I think I see you. Please unmute your mic and speak if you would like, Sean.
All right, thank you. Yep, Sean Lewis here, and
Amy Ferrati too. Hi, Ed. Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
Hi, Amy.
270 North Main Street. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to talk to you tonight. This past week, I had the opportunity to talk to Jeff. And I know I talked to your office when you were in a meeting with the police commission, I think one of the commissions or something. And I've talked at length with Chief Madden as well, about my concerns with the closing of the ramps with exit 38 and the impact it's going to have. I know there's a lot of concern with Elm Street and the traffic from exit 39 south and cutting through at Elm to get quicker over to South Main Street and avoid some of the lights. But as you know, 270, the house here, we've been here almost 2 years, and it was the year prior that the car went through it. So that's the home that we're in. And, even on a normal day, we've got speeds on this road are pretty incredible at times. Big concern with the ramp being closed is that I don't really know that the state has thought it through in terms of the impact on this road. Where at 39, you have the traffic light and you have slower some slower speeds in town. This stretch of road, both going north and south coming off the highway, even on a normal day, there are many that don't stop at the stop sign at the end of the exit of the ramp at 40. So what I'm looking for all of you, and just to discuss, and really what I'd be, I'm hoping you'll be able to do is somehow, ideally, I'd like the state, for all of us along this stretch of road, to put a temporary stoplight at the end of exit 40, and just to help slow things down over here. Just have real concerns about that. And then, the speeds here going both directions, but also what it's going to, do downtown. I know there's a lot of implications, and it's going to be an interesting summer with all those people getting off, wanting to get into Route 6 and 254 and such, that won't be able to get off at Cumberland Farms anymore. But, we have our definite concerns here. And I guess I'm looking, because it is a state road, it ultimately is up to the state, but I'm just looking for some support and your thoughts on what we can do to ensure some more safety ahead of time, instead of waiting until something happens.
Yeah, we're just concerned about, because all traffic is going to be detoured by our house and in our neighborhood, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot. So we just wanted to let you know that we're just a bit concerned about that as well.
I'm thinking about all that highway traffic being diverted through a residential neighborhood. I mean, it's a state road, but it's a residential neighborhood. So, so that pretty much sums it up. I mean, Chief Madden's been great. Jeff and I spoke the other day, tossed around some ideas as well, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and any possible ways that we can pursue this and get something from the state, some kind of response from the state.
John, let me ask you a question, if you might.
Yeah.
Did Jeff make any, I know, let me say this, let me start back up just a little bit.
Sure.
It's highly unlikely we're going to get any kind of traffic light there, as there's no power there. And to do that is a considerable expense, and I know the state's not going to bite. I just know they're not. Did Jeff have any other recommendations or thoughts that he thought might fly with the state? I haven't had any conversation with Jeff about it, so I can't.
Our thought, I'm sorry, if I don't mean to step in. Our thought too was possibly a solar speed limit sign as well. I'm not sure how that works, but I know there's several neighborhoods that have those that slow cars down, and that's strictly solar. So that was a thought as well, which I believe we talked with the chief about. Yeah,
because I've talked to him a couple times over the last couple of years, and the police department, given that there's only 2 on duty at any given time, they've been really great. At times when I've called, that they've got an officer down at the factory.
There's patrolling often.
Back the near the mosque on a regular basis, really, and that's been great. So and he did acknowledge. He said, they're definitely going to increase that when they can. It sounds like there might be some hands fall with opening up Nystrom's and other stuff going on in town as well. So those 2 officers are going to be pulled in multiple directions. But he did mention, we talked about in the past about the speed, the flashing speed sign, right? Your speed. He did seem to indicate that sometimes it gets difficult for him to do some things because the town's required to get a permit because it's a state road, so you have to get a special permit.
That's also correct.
So
that is correct.
And I guess for me, it's the whole issue of, the state's got to do what they have to do to fix Route 8, and that's great, but I don't know that they have taken any, given any forethought to the local impact. They may say that they did a study and whatever that they're going to cite, but we know that there's those things and what you get from the DOT, and then we also know the day-to-day real world anecdotal stuff that we all experience. So I'm just looking for something. As I said, I'd love to be able to, one thing that Chief Madden said the other day was that he was going to contact
the DOT, the local guy at the DOT,
the local, and that he would have him, because the chief asked me, he said, can I have him call you? And I said, absolutely, give him my number, have him call me. And that was Friday. And so Monday, Tuesday, I haven't had a phone call yet. So I'm hoping to have that conversation, at least, to kind of give it so that they're
face.
talking. Yeah, just to have that contact from the state, because, when I went to the state, the DOT site, it says to fill out this form and submit, and, it's going to take them 6 months to even read that. So,
We're just
Don't
concerned.
trust me, I've dealt with the DOT over the
Yeah.
years. They are, I'm
You know-
5 years into a project waiting for an answer, so
yeah,
to speak. Listen, on your behalf, I will speak with Chief, okay?
Okay.
See where he is, see if he's contacted DOT. We'll push that along a little bit so you can have some conversation there. We'll have, Jeff and I will have a discussion about potentially some sort of flashing sign that indicates speed. I believe we have one, it was malfunctioning, it needed to be recalibrated or something along those lines. I just don't know where that particular thing stands at this point. So there
Okay.
may be some stuff we could do internally.
Okay.
But more so but again, to Jeff's point, to the chief's point, we really need to get, anything we do on that road, we got to get the consent from DOT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Understood.
it does make it a little more difficult.
Do you think the DOT would be able to supply one of those speed limit signs, the flashing signs?
It's quite possible, Jeff. I don't know the answer to that. But certainly it's the kind of questions we could ask, once we engage them.
I'd like to understand that, and I'd also like to know from the state what they plan to do to put up, alternate direction signs, as far as
Right.
what exits they're having people get off. And
I think if you drive Route 8, I think you're seeing that already.
okay. And what are they telling? Are they telling people to get off 40 or 39?
It
Both,
depends on
I
what
believe.
direction you're coming from, I guess,
Yeah.
but they're basically, they cut 38 out of the picture. Okay. So, I mean, you can get on going southbound at 38,
Yeah.
what you can't do, it's essentially the entrance ramp and the exit ramp down by the entrance ramp by Pine Hill and the exit ramp on Watertown Road that are being closed off.
Right.
So
And
the traffic's getting diverted to all the other exits in Thomaston, if they're getting off in Thomaston, or entrances.
Right.
So can we have that for an item on our police commissioners meeting for 2 weeks? So we get an update.
No reason why we cannot.
Thank you. We just wanted to bring it to your attention.
When does this
And
start?
thank you for doing so, Sean and Amy. Our meetings are always open, and
Yeah.
if when somebody needs to talk to us about an issue, we're willing to listen and do what we can. And in
Yeah,
some
and it's-
cases,
Yeah,
please
absolutely.
understand there's only so much we could do.
Yep. And
Particularly when it's not truly our under our
Right.
authority.
Right.
and Jeff, to answer your question, June 8th is when that happened.
I remember seeing that flashing. They can put up a sign for that. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm
it's
just,
also my understanding they'll be reconstructing that wall on South Main Street at the same time. Down by the Thomas Park.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole
Working
other.
on that as well.
Yeah, my traffic reports will be really fun. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So.
So thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
And thank you for your comments.
Yep. Thank you very
If
much.
that is concluded, are we concluded?
Yes, I believe
Yes?
so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. With that said, I don't believe there's any other public on here. So I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Jeff.
Okay, motion Roger, second Jeff, all in favor, Ed Monai.
Aye.
Jeff, aye.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned at 8:35 p.m.
See you
Thank
guys
you.
later. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, that's-